DVD that Walter has sent them, and they're like, "Oh no, he's smarter than us." I'm like, that was when the show peaked, and then it's like downhill because then the Walter kind of falls apart heading forward.
I got to take off at 6, and I fucking really want to get your guys' reactions to the midterms.
The red wave.
I want to hear
the red wave.
Look at this, Missouri legalizes marijuana. Great news for me. Yeah. I didn't vote, but I'm glad it panned out.
Oh, you don't
Thanks for the solidarity, Taylor. Taylor doesn't vote in solidarity until I'm allowed to vote.
I'm a good friend.
Do you want to join that pact with us, Hutch? Do you here now want to pledge alongside Taylor to not vote until I'm allowed to vote?
The only thing that possibly triggers me more than somebody telling me they don't vote is the skill-based matchmaking.
No, he refuses to vote. He goes there. He tells them his opinions on every candidate. He researches them thoroughly, and then he.
Dude, I stand there at the door and harass
down the ticket. No,
I harass everyone. Let me tell you why I'm not voting.
He's red, blue, all the way down because he's about values and who can do the best job. But he still doesn't vote.
It triggers me less if you don't vote, but you don't actively try to get other people to not vote. Then I'm like,
that's what we do here.
I don't like that. I don't like that, but I can somewhat tolerate. It's the people that are like, I don't vote, and then they fucking spend half their time on Twitter trying to convince other people that there's no point in voting.
In the title of this video, it's going to say #don't vote.
I will never lend my celebrity.
Too late, you just did it.
The title's going to be Hutch says don't vote.
Oh, I will sue you.
Oh, don't put words. Well, you'd have to sue Zach. He's the one who puts the titles in.
I will get my best lawyer on that.
I don't really.
We're not going to get dozens of dollars out of Zach.
I don't see anybody out. I guess I don't follow it like you do. Like I don't see anybody out there being like, "Don't vote." Oh, don't you fucking vote.
They exist, my friend. They exist in large numbers on the far left. The
left. I thought you were going to say right.
No, they vote.
No, I actually, you know what? Honestly, in the last 3 years, I have spent 95% of the arguments that I have on Twitter are with that crowd.
Which crowd?
Far left. Communists?
The far left. Like I'm talking about the actual hammer and sickle communists.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you shouldn't pay too much attention to communists.
I'm a little out of date now, but I used to spend time on Facebook reading about politics too much, and because a boomer, those guys were like, "This is all corrupt. They don't count the votes. It's all a conspiracy. Don't vote. Don't bother. Who cares?" Yeah. Trump says it.
Did you guys see? I don't know if you guys saw it. Trump. It finally happened. Trump full on went for DeSantis's jugular on Truth Social tonight. Like,
tonight?
What happened?
Like really went after him, which I think is, I mean, I love it as like a lifelong Democrat. It's like great news for me because it's, I mean, the implications for that I think are quite obvious, but this is the worst time for him to go after DeSantis, who had DeSantis is arguably like has the strongest position within the Republican Party right now. And Donald Trump has never been weaker after Tuesday's elections.
There's a lot to read here. It would take like 3 minutes.
I would highly recommend you reading it. Cause, I got to pee, but yeah.
All right, I'll take it on. I'm wearing my glasses. News Corp, which is Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post are all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican governor with a great public relations who didn't have to close up his state, but did, unlike other Republican governors, whose overall numbers for a Republican were just average, middle of the pack, including COVID, and who has the advantage of sunshine, where people from badly run states up north would go no matter who the governor was, just like I did. All right, so he's saying people are moving there for the good weather.
I think
Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agricultural commissioner, Adam Putnam, who was loaded up with cash and had great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, and no money. But he said that if I would endorse him, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. And when I endorsed him, it was as though, to use a bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. Years later, they were the exact words that Adam Putnam used in describing Ron's endorsement. He said, I went from having it made with no competition to immediately getting clobbered after your endorsement. And then I got Ron by the star of the Democrat Party, Andrew Gilliam, who was later revealed to be a crackhead.
Yeah, like I put crackhead in quotes.
By having 2 massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one. I also fixed his campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron, and he beat Gilliam. Gilliam, thank you. But after the race, when votes were stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Scott, I sent in the FBI and U.S. attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended. Prior to them running out the votes necessary to win. I stopped his election from being stolen. And now, Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games! ! The fake news asks him if he is going to run if Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's not really the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 16. A media assault collusion when Fox News fought me to the end until I won. And then they couldn't have been nicer and more supportive. The Wall Street Journal loved low-energy Jeb Bush and a succession of other people as they rapidly disappeared from sight, finally falling in line with me after I easily knocked them out one by one. We're in exactly the same position now. They will keep coming after us, MAGA, but ultimately we will win. Put America first and make America great again. Okay.
I really
let me ask you a question,
like
Woody.
Ron
when you read those words,
DeSanctimonious.
do you feel that the same way you feel when Captain America picks up Mjolnir? Or
dude, it's equally inspiring. You know what? Like what I will never get tired about, like the way that Trump writes is like the random capitalizations, where he'll just randomly say he is a crackhead, and it's like yes, the proper noun, crackhead.
So the implications...
honestly, Ron DeSanctimonious, that is far and away the worst nickname he's ever done. That's a ton of syllables. Most people don't know what sanctimonious means.
I had to Google it. I looked it up. I was terrible. Like, what does sanctimonious mean exactly? And gosh, I need to recheck it, Taylor. But it means it's basically like he's someone who like follows
holier than thou. Someone who's oh my goodness, I'm holier than you. I'm better than you. Like,
you regard yourself as morally superior than the average human. I think would be
which like I don't know shit about Ron DeSantis really, but like go up and do something funnier than that. Like no one's compelled by that. Ron DeSanctimonious.
Ron DeSantis.
DeSanctimonious. You make a six.
You know what's good? Insult? You know what's good? Toxic Trump. Toxic Trump, who no one will vote for. If they just bang that drum, he's toxic Trump. He's lost America. Toxic Trump. Everyone's tired of his act. Everyone's tired of his lies.
They'll flip that.
So this is like an interesting Game of Thrones. This is an interesting Game of Thrones moment right now because he has forced Ron DeSantis to respond in some way. Because DeSantis has clearly been positioning himself to take up the mantle whenever Trump's time is done. He's for sure going to make a run for the nomination. Will almost certainly get it. Now he's in a position where he can't look weak and just be like, you know what? Didn't mean to offend you, sir. Yada, yada, yada. Because then they're never going to respect him the way that they respect Trump.
Wait, you think DeSantis, you said he's for sure going to run for the nomination and get it, but I didn't know who was for sure going to get it.
DeSantis is, well, the only thing, like if you would have asked me a week ago, then Trump, I think I would tell you like, yeah, 100%. Like DeSantis has like, 25% of the Republican voter base think he should be the nominee. And it was like 52% were Trump. And then the rest were split between them, like just a bunch of like weird mishmash of people. But after Tuesday, I have no idea what those polls are going to look like in a week because Donald Trump almost single-handedly tanked his party's chances of murdering the Democrats in a midterm that should have been a bloodbath. Barack Obama lost 63 seats in 2010, with economic worry being the chief concern. Bill Clinton lost 54 seats with a massive crime wave and economic worry being a chief concern. Democrats are not in a strong position. Joe Biden has been hovering around a 42% in the aggregate for months now. He's never been the only time he was like kind of popular was like right in the beginning, and then the Afghanistan withdrawal happened. He's never recovered from that. He went up a little bit recently because he's done some stuff that people like, but not in a meaningful way, like 3-4 points.
I'm seeing the same thing.
My I don't know about like Trump tanking it. Like my guess from like the way the Republicans super like underperformed was like I thought like Roe v. Wade was the big explanation. Right?
It's hard
Trump.
to put one thing on it. I want to jump in. Roe v. Wade and the exit polls was the number one issue. So you're not wrong, that's for sure.
I saw the economy was the number one issue.
I think inflation was number one.
I'm only as good as my sources. I'm seeing abortion.
In Pennsylvania, abortion was a little bit more than inflation.
Okay. So anyway, abortion was the number one thing. Hey, don't talk about slutty women pejoratively. We like slutty women.
I like whores.
So they're a friend of the show. Anyway, the tactic the Democrats did where they donated and campaigned on behalf of the wacky Republican election deniers.
Seems like it worked well.
They all got their asses kicked. People aren't really into what Trump is selling anymore, which is like bullshit and lies.
Hang on,
election denial, right. It doesn't fly.
Okay, so election denial will never fly.
It doesn't seem to fly.
That doesn't fly with me, certainly. I won't say that I'm down on Trump, but what Trump can't sell me is these like wackadoo people. Like when you look at some of those people that he propped up, it's like why did he pick Herschel Walker? What? All right, so that's different. If you look at how close that is, Herschel's fine. If you're appealing,
Warnock will win in a runoff. He will win in a runoff. Watch. Look how close it is. Look. Who was the other candidate?
But wait, Georgia, it shouldn't be close in Georgia. I don't know who Walker. Who he could have picked.
Warnock's the incumbent. I get that it was kind of a weird thing last time when he won, but Atlanta is definitely like the population base. It's mostly black. It's all blue, and then you've got the rest of the red around Atlanta here. Herschel Walker is a huge name here. I knew Herschel Walker's name from way back. Herschel Walker's name was spoken in high school with reverence.
He did not get that much of the black vote.
He did not, but
he ran against a black guy, so
he did not. But he got all the white vote.
It's going to go to a runoff, and Herschel Walker is no longer going to be buoyed by Kemp, who is a somewhat popular, in today's standards, is a somewhat popular governor. He's not going to be on the ticket anymore. The Libertarian, you can't really accurately predict, tremendous amount of accuracy.
I'm not calling the election. What I'm saying is that Herschel Walker's not a bad candidate when it's this close.
He's a horrible candidate.
I think he's a terrible candidate.
Pudding. Look how close it is.
I do understand your argument that Georgia.
You guys are talking about he doesn't speak well, or like his past this, or his policies that. His name is Herschel Walker, and because you're not from here, that doesn't mean anything to you.
He played for the Eagles. It means plenty to me. All right.
He has.
You owe him.
No one here knows him. I promise you. I'm not saying he'll win.
Man did 1,000 push-ups a day for us.
You don't think an institutional, boring kind of Republican could have probably beat? Certainly had a better chance of beating Fetterman in Pennsylvania, but he went with Oz.
Now that's fair.
He went with Oz.
Fair.
All these extremist candidates, he had a horrible night in terms of who he endorsed and
would you feel comfortable with Fetterman representing you personally in a business deal that you couldn't be present at?
In a business deal?
I'm making it personal about you now. It's easy to make him the representative of Pennsylvania, but he's going to represent you. Here's the thing. Activision wants you to make a little content for him next with this new season that's about to pop. Fetterman's going to be your guy. He's in the meeting with the guys from Activision. They got some of the devs there too. They want some input from you. You've given Fetterman your thoughts on a number of issues, but he's going in.
I don't think these are. I would have voted for Fetterman over Oz for sure.
That's not the question.
Kyle, he's not doing something as important as mitigating a business deal for Hutch individually. He's running Pennsylvania. Calm down with these extreme examples. Wait, an ability to cogently communicate with people in politics? Pish posh. What is politics if not fundamentally communication?
No, there is a thing. If we know his issues in advance,
we'll give him the speak and spell. Don't worry.
No, we know he's going to be pro-life. We know he's going to be pro-pop.
And I hope he recovers. But until he does, maybe not public office, huh?
But he shouldn't. Yeah,
I don't even need him to communicate. I just need him to vote the way I wish he'd vote.
Exactly.
He could do that with a gag in his mouth. Actually, kind of.
Is that all they are? Is proxy votes?
That's why
these representatives.
Ideally, they're proxy votes for Woody. Like that would be
directly for me.
I would do it.
That's why you vote for a politician. You're not looking for these. That's why I like. If you're a Republican in Georgia, I get why you're voting for Herschel Walker. What's the alternative? You don't want Warnock. Like I get it. I'm not gonna like criticize them. How could they vote for someone who had fucking paid for an abortion and lied about it? I'm like, what the fuck? He's gonna vote for you to get tax breaks. Then obviously you're gonna vote for him.
By the way, no one on the right cares about Republican, so they'll vote for someone who can't communicate.
They would vote for a Republican in Pennsylvania.
They're pretty purple.
The fact that they think that's an effective scandal still to like accuse Herschel Walker of paying for abortions is laughable.
That's a crazy scandal to me, though. I mean, come on.
Exactly. To you, because you were never going to vote for him, though. And neither were the other people who think it's a crazy scandal. To everyone on the right, they're like, sounds like the man got some pussy. Hell yeah, Herschel. I bet Herschel was pounding that pussy. Ain't no telling how many abortions has he
right.
What a man supposed to do? Raise 25 kids?
Look. All these women, they don't want to have babies because it's inconvenient for them.
We all
Herschel's
understand
stance
Herschel.
is on the money. Herschel's stance is you don't have babies when it's inconvenient for the man. That's a guy who can get behind.
I wish that Democratic voters treated voting like Republican voters do. I wish that they would stop looking at these candidates to be perfect moral examples of how you should exist in the world, and they should just vote in the interest of the best candidate in terms of the pursuit of their political goals. And that's it.
Wow.
I really don't think any moral failing should stop you from voting for someone who's going to provide crucial votes in the Senate and who's going to help you maintain your majority. I really believe that. And, so I get it, but
even brain damage. We'll take the brain damage, the amoral, the criminals.
He was told people have strokes and recover. People have strokes and recover.
And when he does, we'd love to vote for him.
Listen, he went to a doctor. The doctor told him, I don't see any reason why you can't serve in this
Trump
office.
went to a doctor too. Did you see that press release?
Television, woman, newspaper,
remember that?
Wall.
235?
He served though. That's the point. He went to the doctor. The doctor cleared him, and it's like I had no reason to believe he wasn't physically capable of like being the president.
Who?
Trump.
No, of course not. But I don't think Fetterman is.
It's the healthiest president.
You couldn't answer the question for a reason. You were like, wait a minute. Well, I mean, I don't know about all that. I mean,
Which question? The one about the business thing?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want Bernie representing me in like a business meeting, but I would support a Bernie ticket.
All he has to do is push your ideas. What I'm saying is that Fetterman can't do that effectively. Like all he has to do is go in there and like, look, Hutch says he works for this. This is what he gets paid, and he is available for these dates, for these days, and oh yeah, he's amenable to that and this.
Again. I do not care. Like, as long as Fetterman is there to vote for policies and to vote to confirm judges that I want to see on the bench, I don't give a fuck if he's like not that great of a
I would be fearful of a brain damaged leader.
We're hung up on one senator's brain damage. To me, the big story is that fealty to Trump has ruined the Republican Party, and they're starting to see it the same way I do.
It could be.
I think the coagulate
like feeling was that like Roe v. Wade really inspired Democrats to like come out in a big way.
He was the one who put the judges on the bench who did that in the first place. I think the Republican Party is having a big careful what you wish for moment because for a long time they were totally fine being the party that just kind of stopped the federal government from doing too many meaningful things.
They should have. I'm sorry. Can I jump in though? Yeah, they should have handled abortion the same way Democrats handle guns, which is like, oh yeah, we don't like it in theory, and like maybe we should have some common sense background checks or something. But let's move on. You got any other topics you want to talk